Picture this. You are watching the MCU for the very first time and you know little to nothing about Marvel. You know about Tasm and Raimi but have no interest in seeing them. So when you watch No Way Home and they show up, you think, cool. I liked No Way Home when I first watched it, but as I became a Spidey fan, my opinion on No Way Home soured. I think the film is best experienced on a first viewing in theaters, something I did not do. Upon rewatching for this video, I watched No Way Home with the added context of Raimi and Tasm, and I liked it a lot more. That being said, I still have some issues with it, and I want to talk about them if you'll let me, my dearest 11 subscribers. I assume most of you watching have already seen the movie, so here's a short recap. No Way Home starts right where Far From Home left off, with Monsieur releasing the video outing Peter as Spider-Man to the public. The video also accused Peter of murder. So Peter and friends deal with the murder charges, and the movie just doesn't bring them up again. So now the big challenge for Peter is surviving high school and getting into college. But Peter and his friends get rejected from every college they apply to. To deal with this, Peter decides to gaslight the world into forgetting his secret identity, so he gets Doctor Strange to help him out. The spell goes wrong, and now Peter has villains from other universes crossing over into the MCU to fuck shit up. Peter and Doctor Strange lock them away in the Wizard Dungeon. Peter feels bad about sending them back to their doom, so he takes them to Happy's condo to cure them. It doesn't work, and the Green Goblin kills Aunt May right after she says the iconic line. So Peter goes off to Brood. That's where Toby and Andrew come in and tell him to stop being a whiny bitch and fight these assholes. So they have a battle on the Statue of Freedom. Tom nearly kills the goblin but is stopped by Toby. Then Strange does the spell as planned and everybody forgets about Peter Parker. The movie ends with Peter alone in his shitty apartment and a very cool swing scene. So, now that we're all caught up on this film, I can start voicing my opinions on the movie. Starting with the plot. There is a lot to love here, and overall, I really enjoyed this movie upon rewatch. I liked it way more than I thought I would. Maybe it was my nerd brain pointing out all the references, but it made me giddy, and I loved to see Toby and Andrew again. My biggest issue with the film was that the plot hinges on poor communication and stupid characters. Just think all this could have been avoided if Peter planned a bit better and was decisive when he made the spell. Doctor Strange was also stupid, but we'll get to that later. I also take issue with how the spell works. The exact quote from Peter is basically everyone who knew I was Spider-Man should still know. What does this have to do with villains crossing over from other universes? Doctor Strange says that little spell you botched where you wanted everyone to forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man and started pulling in everyone who knows Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Well, that still doesn't explain how baddies are being pulled through time and space. So tell me, why does the spell bring in people from other universes? Another issue is the inciting incident of the film, the video. The two main issues of what Mysterio did were one, outing Peter's identity, and two, the murder charges. So why does the movie drop them so quickly? Wouldn't people just accept that Peter is Spider-Man and move on? Because the only problem with the identity is that Peter is a vigilante. But now he can register and do his work legally. So if the film can be solved if everyone was just a little bit smarter, then why is this a plot about a super genius and wizards instead of cavemen and league players? Those are my main problems with the plot, but for the most part, I thought it was really solid, and I really like MCU Spidey. The next thing I want to discuss is the inclusion of Toby and Andrew. Raimi and Tasm take up space in my brain, but they do not have a place in my heart. What I mean by this is that the Raimi trilogy and the first Tasm movie are just movies to me. Very good movies. I care about the characters and the universes, but they don't mean anything to me. I loved seeing them again, but in the way that you love to see a sequel to a great movie. I didn't watch them when I was younger, and on my first watch of No Way Home 2 years ago, when they showed up, I thought, cool, more Spider-Man, and nothing more. During my rewatch, I thought about why Toby and Andrew were in the movie. Money, duh, but what does their inclusion do for their arcs and the progression of Tom's? If you wrote them out of the story, could Tom's Spidey still progress the same? When posing this question, the first scene that comes to mind is the scene where Toby stops Tom from killing Norman. And touche, I think Tom certainly would have killed Norman if Toby was not there to stop him. Andrew Spidey was also given completion in the scene where he saves MJ, and it is implied that Toby has a Mayday back on his Earth. So I will give the movie this. It gives the Spider-Man conclusions they otherwise would not have gotten. I think the film really suffers if you have not seen both Raimi and at least the first Tasm movie. It makes it hard to understand plot points like villains crossing over moments before their death, though I can't expect everybody watching to be a super nerd. So, having experienced this movie both as a normie and a super nerd, I can say that the person who will get the most enjoyment out of this film is someone who has watched the Raimi trilogy and at least TASM 1, because being a super nerd is a double edged sword when it comes to this film. Okay, time to talk about how utterly stupid Doctor Strange is in this movie. So, this man turned a black hole into a butterfly, put Loki in a time loop for 30 minutes, and fought off the universal threat of Dormammu. This same man then lost a fight to a 16-year-old boy in his own dimension. Not only that, he literally says, and I quote, Peter, we tampered with the stability of space and time to resurrect countless lives. You want to do it again now because yours got messy? So why the fuck would Strange still agree to do the spell? Being Thanos buddies is not a good enough reason to risk the safety of the universe. How is this the same guy who defeated Dormammu? I just don't. Why is he so stupid in this movie? The final thing I want to talk about is the greater ramifications on MCU Spidey due to this film. This was my greatest issue when it comes to No Way Home. I really think it screws over MCU Spidey in so many ways, the first of which being the possibility of adapting the rogues seen in No Way Home. The MCU cannot have a proper Green Goblin. Bold statement, I know, but unless they have Norman be a looming future threat, then he simply won't exist in the MCU. The MCU has no Oscorp as confirmed by Raimi Goblin, and thus no Norman, or even Harry. They could have had Oscorp be set up in the next movie and have Peter try to stop the creation of a goblin, but the shock of having a goblin is already gone for MCU Peter, and chances are there won't be another goblin because general audiences don't want to see the Green Goblin twice. Killing May was another questionable decision made in this movie, because if she was alive, it could be another element of tragedy for the character. Think about it this way: MJ still has the Black Dahlia necklace Peter gave her in Far From Home, but she likely forgot why she has it and where she got it. So think about how many Black Dahlia moments May could have had. She practically raised Peter, and it could just be yet another reason Peter Parker is Scotch's favorite chew toy. To fix these issues and improve setup for the next trilogy, I would make it so that May survives, so she can be a source of tragedy for Peter and open up the possibility of adopting Mr. Negative because she works at Feast. And to change one of the Goblin's lines from Oscorp doesn't exist to Oscorp is just a startup, or something along those lines, to simply imply its existence, and make Green Goblin a looming threat for Peter. This is another reason to keep May around, because right now Peter has basically nothing to lose. Goblin loves to fuck up his personal relationships, but right now he has none. Um, so at least he can go for May because they have a blood link. Though I really do think the MCU was cheated out of a proper Goblin and the other rogues that appear in No Way Home. A blank slate is both a blessing and a curse for MCU, because all of his relationships are gone, allowing him to make new ones, but rendering the old ones meaningless. Though I think a soft reset was overall good, as it allows Peter to go to a more street level and adapt less extravagant stories, overall No Way Home did a pretty shitty job at setting up for the future of the character. Though this could be by choice to leave a blank slate for the next writer to make new stories with. No Way Home is a fan service movie, and though it could have been executed better for a loose adaptation of One More Day, it did an awesome job of making it watchable and even enjoyable. And hey, it can't be as bad as the Zeb Wells run, right? I hate you, Paul. Anyways, thanks for watching. Have a nice day. Bye bye.